A group of St. Martin's parishioners went on a pilgrimage to Dixon, Illinois. There, they visited the H.A. Howell Pipe Organ Company. Their purpose? To view firsthand the magnificence of their new pipe organ in its construction stage. Their hosts, Mr. Kurt Schmidt and Mr. Tim Bowles of Howell Organ Company, took the group on a tour. Let's watch and listen.
You're going to be with us for lessons and carols this afternoon.
Where are we, though?
Where are we? H.A. Howell Pipe Organs Incorporated.
In Dixon,
Dixon, Illinois. Where you'll be taking a look at all the work that's being put together for your own pipe organ at St. Martin's.
This is the executive suite.
Yes, this is the executive.
A lot of the voicing too, aren't you, Tim?
You'll see
Yes.
Tim there a great deal because he'll be in charge of the installation. By the time that's over, you'll really know him well. And I just discovered that Arthur's is not spelled like authors.
What can we say?
Is this the rest of the group that just found their way out here to Dixon?
They just found their way. They had to stop and ask for directions 4 times.
Is there anyone else coming yet?
No.
No,
This is it.
Well, is...
Okay, we're in the second tour, Birch. You could smile, or is it that bad?
Is there
Another rough trip?
Well, one thing I want to say first, and what brought that dollar discussion up. We pride ourselves in 2 things. All Howell organs are sold by word of mouth. You've never seen an advertisement for one ever. You probably never will. They're just all sold by word of mouth. Second of all, as you will see as we go through here today, we do epitomize the expression low overhead.
The tour begins with Kurt explaining, with the help of a blueprint, how the casework and pipes will be arranged.
We thought which improved design. They're modest. If we didn't tell you about them, you'd never really notice they were happening. But we did them for some design reasons. First of all, the pipes, you'll notice, used to go with the highest pipe mouths on the outside. We've reversed that and put the highest pipe mouth on the inside and the lower ones on the outside. We did that in the 3 big towers. We did that so your eye would go in a line like this, because this is at the front of the church and that's an easier line for you to see from a distance. Reasons. That is getting into service things. We may propose to you that instead of these, that we may wish to bring this straight down. It's a little more lumber for us to use. It costs us a little more to do that. But what it does is, it means we have accessibility to the mechanism under here, other than by panels that drop out. We can stand literally under them and it'll make it easier on them during the week. The drawings that shows you how the joints go together in the various pieces of casework that are made. The casework, which is the skin that covers the organ, made of solid oak, is made of hundreds and hundreds of component parts, from little pieces of molding to the large panels. Here, for example, you'll see very fancy molding. When you're out in the shop today, you will see this portion of the casework being set up out there. And these portions are sitting out there right now. These portions. This is called the impost level.
In the pipe room, Tim Bowles explains how some of the pipes are made.
Put on them, and they've got this slotted mouth in here. That mouth has a plate in it, which you can just kind of see in there, a thick metal plate. And that plate's called a languid, or tongue. And it goes front to back of the pipe. And the only way for air to leave the pipe once it enters this hole is out through a very tiny slot between the languid and the front of the pipe. That's called the actual mouth of the pipe, and that's what's responsible for the sound. Hear how slow and kind of that pipe is? At this point, you've got a raw pipe. It has yet to be voiced and finished. And all of that will be done in the room, on the chest, in that acoustical space. Because before you do anything else, you decide how loud you want this pipe to be. You set the strength of it, and then with a series of very small dentist tools, really, you get into this pipe and you make the pipe mouth wider or narrower. You can put nicks in it. You can cut a bevel on this upper lip. There are many, many different things you can do to it to change the sound of the pipe. And those are the procedures that are called voicing and tonal finishing.
Can I touch it?
Certainly.
Yeah.
Since the pipes are so
There's a
delicate,
cylindrical body,
only Kathy
as you
Deffenbaugh was
foot.
privileged to feel them.
And right up here, lay your finger on it carefully, that's the toe hole. The wind goes in there, travels up this foot, and it comes out through this slot. You want to be careful because the metal's very soft. It's not terribly sharp.
When you receive these pipes from Germany,
Yes.
are they in that shape? Has all of that been done in the way of forming and...
Yes,
putting this
they do
slot?
all of the forming on this, and there are some delightful German gentlemen that do nothing but solder these seams. And let me tell you, that's a real trick. We do a little of that ourselves in terms of repair work, but this pipe is made of solder. It's made of a mixture of tin and lead, which is why it has kind of this leopard skin. I don't know if you could kind of feel the bumps on that pipe.
Good, Kathy, feel.
It's got kind of a bumpy surface. And that happens when the tin and the lead cool together. They form this little pattern, and that's what's called spotted metal. That's the best kind of metal to use on most pipes. However, it's very soft. You could crush this pipe. And it's just a little piece of solder. I've got, well, here's a piece of, it's a different ratio of tin and lead, and so it doesn't have the spots on it. But it just burns like that.
Good looking.
Which is why you need to be careful around pipes. They can be ruined very easily.
Yeah, you can see that.
Here's a sample of the kind of metal
Easily mounted.
loose and how easily bendable it is.
He's already bent it, Kathy.
Yes.
It was
It was
flat.
flat
It was
before I
flat,
bent
you
it right
bent it.
now, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, when we get those in our church, are they still that delicate?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, and that's why we put an organ case around the pipes so that people can't get at them accidentally. But in any case, to solder these together then, since you're using solder, the pipe itself melts at the same temperature as the solder. And they have a huge, heavy iron that they heat up in a gas furnace. And they rub the sides of it with garlic to keep the solder from straying. And then they just sit down. They just sit down, and they find the garlic oil is one of the best things to use, and they still use it. They sit down, they have this pipe loosely formed together, and they just go whoosh,
Oh, pretty.
one solder bead. And this round one here is the trickiest one.
Back in the shop, Kurt tells how the wood pipes came into being.
We made some investment pipes. We're going to be used pipes. Right here. We call them experience pipes. One of the real advantages of using used wood pipes is all the swelling and shrinking has happened over the many years, and they're not very likely to crack in the new surroundings. These are wooden pipes that were made around the turn of the century. Now what we've done is completely dressed them down and refinished them, and they really don't look like they are 85 years old at all. They are made of a wood that allows us to make these very tight. There's normally a foot that goes in the bottom of these, but in your particular organ, these are going to be screwed to the wall and have a hose run over into the bottom. So we really don't need these kind of feet for them. But these make the large bass sound in the organ, and because they have a stopper in the top, which is want to grab the end of that, Bert? Sure. Which is padded, they seal nice and tight. You move that stopper with the very, what do we use there, Tim? Is that leather? Or is that like a horsehide?
I think it's horsehide.
Okay, here. That stopper is packed around there, so it's nice and tight. And even just talking into the pipe, I can hear it resonate from here. I don't know if I can make a sound out of it or not.
You need a lot of wind.
Oh, my God. That's deep.
And that's about it. I don't think I can make that granddaddy on the bottom.
If you listen very carefully, you hear it ring after he stops, and that tells you that the pipe is tight.
Yes, he says, does this mean I'm full of hot air? And I'll let you draw your own conclusion. I'll do that once more. You can tell if one of these is nice and tight because you hear a hum when it sounds.
Once again in the pipe room, Kurt explains the reed-style pipe or trumpet and explains how they work and how they are adjusted.
Just like the reed clarinet, except instead of wood, it's brass. This wire can be moved up or down through the block of the pipe to make the reed longer or shorter and to tune the pipe. This resonator is just like the bell on a trumpet, except all those curls of the trumpet are straightened out. A bone kind of sound in the pedal, which is called a fagot. Now, the interesting thing about that is that when I put this back on, I have to blow the hole while I'm setting it in the hole, because the slightest bit of dust in that reed will make it non-functional. It will buzz and be very unpleasant.
When you said forgot, you're not saying you forgot it. That's the name.
I'm saying that the pipe is spelled in German, F-A-G-O-T-T, or in Italian, F-A-G-O-T-T-O. And
Here, Tim is explaining that the bench and foot pedals are made of white oak and rosewood.
Because white oak is less easily damaged by moisture. It's very difficult to machine, which is why we don't use it on the rest of the case. The dark things up here, yes, this will be stained. And this is just natural right now. And these dark things here are rosewood. And you'll see why they're rosewood in a moment.
At this point, Kurt will explain the keyboard that is made of rosewood and polished maple.
these keyboards are made of rosewood with polished maple sharps and flats, trimmed in key cheeks of solid.
And what is that called?
This is a connection that moves the shutters, which allow you to make the organ softer by trapping the sound inside.
Tim provides additional background on the materials that's been selected for the keys.
These keyboards are rosewood because it's very stable and it's cool to the fingers. And so it's pleasant to play for long periods of time. The other nice thing about wood is it will absorb a little oil from your fingers, rather than the plastic keys where all the oil sits on the surface and makes it slippery.
That absorbs it.
Yeah. No, you can't get ivory, unfortunately, in this country, and the sharps are maple. Yes, so the wide keys are dark, and the small keys are light.
Next, Kurt will explain the roller board and the ranks of pipes.
Go downstairs. I want to show you this because this is a critical piece of action for your organ. This is mounted on a piece of very expensive plywood. You can count the number of layers because this must not change shape. And they come back in the order of the keys. But the pipes aren't in the order of the keys. The pipes go C, C sharp, D, D sharp, and so on, all the way down to the little ones. Something has to transfer the order of the keys to the order of the pipes. This is called a roller board. It sits down underneath the chest, and it literally transfers so that when the key comes back here, it pulls a pipe valve there. Or a key comes back here, it pulls a pipe valve down there. And it literally transfers the motion. Threaded screw on the top. Two things happen. A goodly amount of the action literally floats and compensates itself. There are adjustments we can make at nearly every piece of the action to get the tolerance we need to tolerate both summer and winter. This chest works in this manner. All of the pipes of a given rank, like this trumpet, are in a row. Now you can see where the term rank comes from. They're rank upon rank of pipes. In this particular case, we've got them in 2 rows. What basically happens here now is that, remember that nice little flute? No, it doesn't go on here. Let me come to that. The principal that we had. That principal pipe that we had will sit in its appropriate hole in this row. Okay? All of the C pipes are in a row. This will be C on a principal, C on an octave, C on a flute, C on a mixture, C on...